Okay. Damn, dude, why? Dude, I cannot dance.
I'm just sitting on your front porch, wondering how could I be so far from my home.
Hello, it's Monday. Hello.
And my mind is somewhere else, but when I find it, I'll patch up where it's been blown.
Come on. Come
Now I'm just floating on the breeze, and I feel I'm falling like these leaves. I must be cornerstone. Oh, but when I reach that ground, I'll share this peace of mind I found. I can feel it in my bones, but it's gonna take a little time for me to set that parking brake and let myself unwind. Shine that light on me. I'll sit and tell you my stories. Shine on me, and I will find a song. I will sing it
just for you. And that's that right there. Excuse me. That is Bishop Gunn with Shine. And that's a song right there by that band. And that, can you imagine those boys from Natchez, Mississippi right now are out there touring in Europe. And that can be some of the beauty of music, man. It hits people's ears and then it hits our, because the ear goes directly, the ear bone is connected to the heart bone. And it hits their ears and just goes right into their heart. And then that feeling, man, and they want more of that feeling. And that's what those boys are doing. Bishop Gunn is a band. And they are in Europe right now performing. Different areas. I have, speaking of that, I'm going to go... I mean, this is crazy. I can't even believe I'm going to be saying these words. I'm going to be going, we locked down a date in London. That's crazy, man. Just to hear myself say those words that I'm going to be going to, I mean, where Americans came from. Let's be honest about it. America started because shit wasn't going that great in England. People were being mean to each other in England. They had bullying. People was doing bullying. And the next thing you know, people said, you know what? Fuck you, bruh. I'm out. And they got in a boat and left. And the people in England were like, well, where you going? And they're like, we don't even fucking know. So things must have been hairy if somebody left and didn't even know where they're going. That's when you know you just gotta go. But I'm happy to be coming back to that original homeland over there. America 1.0, England. Excuse me. And I don't know when that'll be yet. I do know the date, but I'm not looking at that. There are going to be other dates around it. There will be Scotland and Ireland and fuck, dude, I can't even imagine. Dude, that's so crazy. I'm going to be going over there. So, anyway, I didn't mean to make this about myself out of the gate, but I just, I am excited. And I deserve to feel good sometimes, and I'm excited about that. Who's listening out there? That's what I want to know. Who's listening to this podcast, to this past weekend? Thank you guys for being here with me. Who's listening? Who are you? I want you to hit the hotline, 985-664-9503. Are you, we used to have a lot of postmen. A lot of postmen would hit the hotline and let us know. And we had a lot of drivers. I remember we had a FedEx driver that you know. But who are you? Who are you listening? Hit the hotline and say, hey, you know, my name is this, and this is what I do for work, and this is when I listen to this past weekend. I would just love to know that, you know, like, hey, my name is Theo, and you know, and I listen to the podcast in the morning when I do stretches on my floor in my bedroom. That's what I do. I mean, that's just definitely a little bit, you know, something a tender gentleman would say, but that's when I listen. So hit the hotline. I just want to know who's out there listening. I want to know, you know, I always hear so much. You guys always hear so much about me. I want to hear some more about you. What's going on? A lot. You know, I just got back. I flew back this morning from Atlantic City. I went and did some shows, and they had theater shows. And I'm talking theaters, boy, you know, theaters, you know. And if a lot of times when you, if somebody talks real fast, they even say my name like that. Oh, that's theater. Instead of Theodore. They're like, oh, that's theater right there. And we did the shows. We went to Medford, and that was the first one. And the crazy thing at theater, I didn't go look at the stage in advance. And the lights are so bright, you can only see about first 2 rows of people. And there was maybe, you know, I don't even know how many people were in that place. I mean, it seemed like a damn community college, it felt like. That shit was pretty big, and people were doing, you know, it smelled like weed and everything. So, yeah, very much like community college. And I didn't know, like, how deep it was, man. It was kind of scared. It was like, I felt like a hamster that had to also, you know, I felt like, oh, have you ever seen a prison movie where the prisoner gets out and they have the big spotlight and they're shining it looking for him? I felt like that guy, like that prisoner. But also, what if you gave that prisoner a microphone and while he's running off, he have to tell jokes? So that's how I felt, and man, it was you know, it was a crazy just three nights, and then did 2 shows at the Wilbur Theater in Boston, and then a show in Atlantic City, and we took planes and trains and automobiles, and we didn't have anybody to host for any of the shows. So a couple hours before, I'm just asking people like, hey, do you know anybody that lives in the area that can do comedy? And next thing you know, we found a host, you know, a young fella named Andrew who came out for the Boston shows. And that dude is sitting there, you know, at his home, probably, you know, I'm not saying doing masturbation, but probably doing a little. And next thing you know, he's on stage in front of 1,500. And so, you know, and he did a great job. You know, we just hit up literally like we're asked, does anybody know anyone in this area that can do it? And then the same thing for the Atlantic City. We just got, you know, does anybody know anybody in the area who can drive over here and do some comedy for 10 minutes at the beginning of the show? But man, it was wild. It was, man, it was awesome. It was scary though. I felt pretty scared. Because I just don't, you know, it's like being in a new place. It's like, I'm trying to think of exactly how it feels. You ever go, remember, have you ever gone to look at an apartment or a house and you go in and there's no furniture in it and you're just going to check it out? You know, maybe to see if you'll move there or, you know, or something, and you go in and you're going in the different rooms and you just kind of, it feels new, it feels different. It's the first time you've ever felt the space and felt your body react to the distance between you and the walls and just the space. And that's what it feels like that going on the stage. But so you have that kind of feeling, you're in a new space, but then you also at the same time have you know, some responsibilities. And so, yeah, it was a different animal. You know, I'm so used to being in a comedy club, and I'll still be doing a lot of clubs. It was just, it was just kind of how the weekend worked out. But thank you so much to everybody that came out. You know, we had a couple of brothers that came out, actual brothers, people that were, you know, womb mates, and also a couple of black gentlemen. We had one young fella, looked like, I thought it was Sean Kingston. And he came out to one of the shows. I don't know if you remember Sean Kingston. I think he might have killed Aaliyah with that damn Sea-Doo or whatever. But he came out. What else did we do? Dude, it was I went to the Barstool Sports, and people say Barstool, you know, they have, you know, they're basically people, they put stuff on the internet. You know, say if your aunt does a couple whippets and accidentally gets fucked up and kisses her son or something like that, like at a foosball tournament or whatever, then they put that shit on Barstool videos. So, you know, I went to their office, and it was pretty crazy. I rolled in there, and they got an older black gentleman sitting right there, and he was polishing off a little bit of rib meat or something. And this dude was, you know, he was half a cage deep into some fucking ribs. Boy, I don't know if you know, if you don't have any black friends, then you never seen how black men can really get into some ribs. Dude, black guys should be orthopedic, bone doctors or something. I'm surprised there's not more black surgeons, because you see a black dude get into a thing of ribs, bruh. Like, dang, dude. I didn't even know they had all of that in there. A black guy will crack a rib open and they got meat in there. So if you never had a black friend, first of all, get a black friend, and then order him half a rack of ribs and see what he does. That dude will have them bitches dry at the end of it. Not a meat, not a gristle. You could dip that thing. A black man could dip a rib that he ate into a fish tank, and not even a little fish. Not one fish will swim up to even look for anything, because there's nothing on it. So, you know, when it comes, you know, a black guy, you know, will really put that gangbang on a rib. He'll fucking tighten that thing up to the fullest. So this guy, anyway, I roll into the office at Barstool's. The man is sitting in there, and he's supposed to be the guy that like checks you in downstairs at the bottom of the deal, at the ground floor. So he looked up at me like he was pissed that I was there. So I was like, fuck it, bro. You know, you don't want to do your job, you know, whatever. So I went past that guy, went up to the third floor, and the elevator doors open, and there's like maybe 50 dudes. You know, a lot of them look like maybe they played, you know, half of them kind of look like maybe they played lacrosse or something for, not Duke, you know, not that, you know, the sexual team, but at least, you know, at least maybe UNC or NC State. And then, yeah, they got, next you know, there's a camera guy pops up, and they got a lady cutting up a grapefruit, and they have a couple little studios, and it was wild to see, because, you know, it's like seeing behind the internet. It's like the doors open, and then there's like, you know, 50 guys sitting at computers, and it was a good vibe. We went in there and did the radio show. And then I went that night, and it was just a good vibe, man. I had fun in there. And if you haven't, if you get a chance, go listen to that episode when I was on their radio. It was a lot of fun, actually. So I really enjoyed that. And then what else happened? I'm trying to tell you what happened this past weekend. Then I stopped by the Comedy Cellar that night in New York to see some different comedians and just say hey. I got to watch Dave Attell perform. So that was awesome, man. That guy, he once I heard him refer to, he referred to peanut butter he referred to hummus as ISIS peanut butter. And I thought that was pretty much right on time. So that was it. And then the next day the next morning I went to Boston, did the shows at Medford. The guy Francis, this big guy, white dude, you know, pretty rich, bro. Like even his breath kind of smelled like cologne a little. You know, the kind of guy that has breakfast and probably has a little bit of fucking, you know, some, you know, a little some Estee Lauder scents or something on his pancakes. The kind of dude who have a nice, you know, a couple of omelets and wash it down with a fucking mouthful of, you know, Garnier Fructis or something, one of those, you know, a fancy deal. So Francis was there. And first of all, if you named after, you know, Francis what? You know, Francis, that's crazy. You got to be rich to really have a, you know, kind of a bi-gender name and be a man. This dude was a handsome guy, too. Looked like one of those Winklevosses. Remember the Winklevosses? Who almost beat up that guy, the Facebook kid? Him. So he came on and did the shows with us, and it was just blast, man. So many people came out. So many people came out. Here we got one guy right here. He came to the Medford show. Let me hit this. And this guy left a voicemail on the hotline. So let me see what he had to say.
Theo, what's up, man? My name's Jared.
What's up, Jared? Thanks for calling, sir. I'm a little tired. You have to forgive me today, Jared. Onward.
From Connecticut. I saw you up in Medford, man. Awesome show. Super grateful that you came out. I appreciate you, you know, staying after to meet with everyone after the show. You know, I'm the gentleman that had the matching Mississippi mud flap in the flannel, you know.
Oh, yeah, bro. You had that tight cut. And you had that back splash on the neck, dude. And you had real short front hair. You know, almost going out of business in the front, but still partying in the back. You know, you had that real, like if you see like a young kid who has a kind of a mullet haircut, him. And he's kind of standing on the side of the road and none of his parents are with him and he's kind of throwing rocks into a ditch or something. You had that style, that old school neighborhood style that I grew up around. Let's hear more.
You know, I thank you for your encouragement, man. On my recovery, man, just celebrated 19 months clean, and I love how you were giving me some motivation, man, and love the podcast. My boy and I listen to it. It gets us through the week, gives us something to talk about, and I wanted to say thanks again, man.
Gang, man. Thank you, bud, and congratulations, dude. 19 months. Think about that, dude. A lot of stuff happened in 19 months. Anything could happen. You could go to jail for probably a manslaughter if you had a good attorney and get back out. Anything could happen. You could have a 19-month-old child. So, man, congratulations, dude. I'm glad that you came out, man. And yeah, I remember that haircut. You had that fucking like a lesbian that really, she's, you know, devout lesbian. Like sometime in her life, she's going to find a way to really sprout a dick, you know, if she wants to. It's going to be up to her. And I do remember that cut, man. That shit was beautiful. And, you know, I notice a lot of guys, sometimes about growing the long hair out the back, it's like a mane. It's just like a little, it's almost like, it's like the only thing we can do these days, you know? Or not the only thing, I shouldn't say that. But as men, it's like something we can do to express our masculinity. Because I do feel like in some ways, you know, masculinity is just, it's not at a crossroads, but it is at a time when it needs to be tempered in some spaces because, you know, it's not fair because our environment, our society is becoming a lot more structured, a lot less primal. And so, you have to temper the flames of that wild masculinity. Back in the day, dude, think about when, 1700s, you could take your wife for a hike and never bring her back. And that was nothing. You could shoot your neighbor. And that was, oh, where's my fucking rake, Mr. Daniel? And next thing you know, pop, pop. And that's it. So it's just a different time. So now it's like we got to temper it out a little bit. And yeah, so one thing that men can do is is just sprout that spout. Grow that back hitter. And go fucking hard in that neck paint. or actually go soft in that neck paint, you know? Because my shit, guy, dude, you touch the back of my hair, it feels like fucking 9 babies. It feels like 9 babies just rubbing little chamois cloths on each other. Just soft soaping each other's shoulders. Dude, it's like 9 babies in a fucking soft pile. With butter on them. Could you imagine putting butter on a baby? God damn, bro. You know, I'm not a cannibal, but if you put fucking butter on a baby, bro, I wouldn't be surprised if I fucking took a little bite out of that guy. But man, congratulations, man, and I'm happy that you and your friend find some joy in listening to me, and I found joy in it, and you guys haven't come out, man. It's good. I had fun, dude. I had so much, dude. The first show in Boston, I had so much fun at the Wilbur. The first one, I mean, all the shows I tried my best, but that first Wilbur show, man, I had so much fun. And then the second one, I think I got a little, you know, I got nervous. The crowd was rowdier. And the Medford one, I think I was just a little, I did my best, but I was just a little scared, but man, overall, it was a great experience. I mean, it's just a learning experience to be in that space. I'm glad that I had people after the shows were super supportive. But that second show, the late show in Medford, at the Wilbur, you know, if I could have one back that I could just do some parts of it over. Or just, I don't know, the vibe was just, it wasn't bad. And it had nothing to do with the audience. I don't know. I just wish I could do it again. But, you know, I'm hard on myself. And that's okay sometimes. What else happened this past weekend, man? I'm trying to think. Oh, I got my back waxed. That felt pretty good. I didn't get much sleep. Oh my gosh. So, one of the guys from Whitesnake was on the plane back with me to Los Angeles. And, they're the ones who did the fire at that building. And, a lot of people died, RIP, from that Whitesnake fire back there near Providence a long time ago. Oh man. What else? What else can I tell you about? I can tell you about, this episode is brought to you by Gray Block Pizza. Gray Block Pizza, 1811 Pico Boulevard, on the way to the beach. Gray Block Pizza, get that hitter. I got to tell you this, the guest we have coming up, Mark Geragos, and he's an attorney. He's that Atticus Finch, you know, he's that Gavelly bad boy. He's out there, you know, he's out there shaping truths and bending lies. And he's represented Michael Jackson, Colin Kaepernick, Scott Peterson, the man that killed everybody, Chris Brown. And you can send in your video questions about any questions you have for that man, for Mark Geragos. He'll be in here. I thought he was the swimmer that almost died of HIV when he hit his head on the board. But anyway, he'll be in here, and we'll be putting some swipe up so you guys can swipe up and send in a question for him. As well, we have Brian Callen will be coming in. So we're going to be doing an episode. We'll ask for some submissions for him. He's going to take us through like a March Madness version of the state wars. Like if all the states got into war, like if all the states became, you know, it was an ununified America, ununited states, and there were state wars like March Madness style with brackets, and they all fought off against each other and who would win. And Brian Callen is a very smart man, and that's Brendan Schaub's daddy. Brendan is the man that does King and the Sting with me, and he's the Sting. And so his daddy is Brian Callen's, and he does. I don't think he was in Vietnam, but he was in Korea, you know, and he does a lot of stuff like that. AARP, he does the conferences, and so he'll be in here because he's very smart and he's going to help us out. And take us through that. That's going to be he and I's episode. So if you have a video, or there's a link in the YouTube, if you think why your state would do well in the state wars, what they have to offer, why, you know, you could say, oh, I think Nevada's going to win because, they have, troops could get up, they could take all the gambling money and buy tanks or whatever. So, but whatever your reason why you think your state would win, you can hit the hotline 985-664-9503, and we'll add some of those parts in to the episode, and we'll use them as we go through the states. Oh man. Yeah, dude, this weekend was kind of scary in some ways. I don't know. Sometimes, sometimes I feel like I don't like talking about some shit because, before the second Medford show, man, I was sitting in the back of the place, and I was just just got real emotional, man. I was sitting back there. And I just felt scared. I was just sitting back there by myself, and I just felt, I don't know. I didn't feel good, man. To be honest, I was real teared up, and, I just didn't feel okay. And I called a couple of friends, and thankfully somebody answered, and I was able to talk to them. And I was trying to think about why I didn't. And I think... and I think it was because sometimes inside of me, there's a thing where it's like I'm afraid to feel good about myself because it's almost just such an unfamiliar territory that it makes me scared. Or it's like if I feel good about myself, then it means I'm being selfish or something, I was like excited about the theaters, and then I don't know. I don't even know. Part of me doesn't even know. And maybe I'll talk a little bit when I go to my therapist this week. I'll try and talk to her about it and think about it more. But yeah, I was just, I just remember I was sitting there and I just felt like I just didn't feel good. I just didn't feel good. And some of that goes back to just, that's kind of like my alcoholism or my thing inside, my lack of self-confidence that's inside of me somewhere. It's almost like this little gremlin that even when things are good, it wants to pop up and control the show. It's like this little dirty little man who's got a whip, and he's probably doing dirty stuff and being like maybe even a homeowner that's a mean one, and he's, just gets in there and he just beats all my good feelings with a whip and makes my good feelings feel like they're bad or they've done something bad. So I got some of that, and I don't know what the deal was, but I got some of that going on. But then, I was thankful. I talked to a friend, and they made me feel better. And then I was, I was okay. So anyway, that's it. I don't know. I'm kind of all over the place, man. I didn't get, I flew home. I got off the plane. I went home and rested for 40 minutes, and then I came over here. And I want to try to hit an AA meeting tonight. So. But I am grateful to be here with you guys, and man, so many people came out. It was crazy. I mean, people came out. A guy gave me a nice shirt. I didn't even get to unpack my bag and bring it in here. Somebody made a dude. They had a Vietnamese, this beautiful pair of Viettes. They made a shirt, and it said, "Vietnamese are people, not food." And I thought that was great because you guys know I almost bit into that kid at a Best Buy that time. Let's get into the news a little bit here. Alex Trebek announced in a video that he has stage 4 pancreatic cancer. Trebek is 78 years old and has hosted Jeopardy since 1984. Said he intends to fight the disease and work the rest of his contract through 2022. That's crazy, man. It's really scary when people start passing away that are part of your life or that are part of your childhood or just in your periphery of existence. It starts to remind you how just how real life is. And that gets scary. Life is this very... it's like this very real dragon kind of. And, sometimes it hibernates for a while and it's not there. And And sometimes it, it just fucking out of nowhere just wakes up and just just burns you with that fucking face heat, that popper. And it's just, sometimes you just kind of cruising down the road of life, and then life's like, guess what, motherfucker? Right turn. Surprise, bitch. Intersection without any stop signs. Just, shit like that. And it gets intense. And that's the kind of thing I start to feel like when people are passing away, or people are getting, sick and older, and like, it's like you want these little things that are in the periphery of your life, these staples, to always kind of be there, but it just keeps moving on, man. But then that's the same thing that adds value to it. That's the same thing that adds value to it, is that it's not a forever thing. You don't have unlimited life. This shit ain't Breadsticks at Olive Garden, dude. This is like at a place where they just give you 1 or 2 breads, and they don't have extra if you want it. I mean, life is just 1 or 2 breads, Now they can have as much flavor in them as you want to taste for. You can just try and take, you can eat them fast and that's it. But if you really want to get down to that dough and get yeasty, you can pop off and really enjoy. I mean, you can break those 1 or 2 breads down to every fucking ingredient and suck the egg and the salt and the flour and the rye and the yeast and and some of them, they might be cinnamon breads, raisin breads. You can really enjoy all of them tastes in there. Or you can just gobble them bitches up, be on through it. But it's not unlimited breadsticks. It feels like it is, or it is when you're real young, and then it's not. Man, I don't even know what I'm talking about. Former teen heartthrob and star of 90210 Luke Perry passed away at 52 after suffering a massive stroke. And dude, I remember watching 90210 when I was young. It was like the first show that I got to watch. It was called Beverly Hills 90210. And it was about rich kids and some poor kids that all went to school together in Beverly Hills. And I remember doing that. That was like the first show where like there was kind of some, people were having maybe sex or talking about sex. And I would sit there and like, my brothers and sisters, we would all watch it. I think my littlest sister wasn't allowed to watch it, but we'd sit there, dude, and I would be just erect as hell. It was the only TV show I'd sometimes have to face the other way and then turn back and look at it, and watch, because I didn't want people seeing my body getting all hard in the middle. Especially, I had that AP, bro. I had that fucking rock and jock. I had that fucking DeMarcus Cousins, wiener even as a child. I had that big fucking baby whale. I had that Will Sasso, that thick hitchhiker. It was like, you ever seen a mitten, but the thumb is twice as big as the finger part? That's kind of how like my nuts and wiener even as a child. I had that cat daddy. And so it'd make me so nervous because I would just have on little shorts or tight, children's television pants, little, what were those things called? Little, you remember those? It was like a onesie, and they had a little trap door in the back in case you had to do a duty real fast or something, or in case there was a fire you had to get out of the whole onesie. They had that little fire escape in the back in case somebody threw a match on the front of your pajamas and you had to fucking wiggle out of them bitches. They had that, that reverse psychology, just a way you could just say bye-bye right out the back of your own short, that onesie. And you could just, you could save your own life. But yeah, I remember, dude, those things. And suddenly I'd get so erect, the fucking rest of the onesie would get real tight on my body because I didn't have a lot of room in that bitch anyway. I got that body type. I'll fucking fill a onesie. I got that limited neck. Only got about 1.5 inches long neck. But I did see this little neck stretcher thing on Instagram the other day, so I might look at that. And I want to thank everybody that sent me links to that as well. I had about 60 people that sent me different links to that. What else, man? Yeah, but that show, dude, that show is the first show where you would see people kissing or smooching. I mean, you had like, somebody had a convertible car. The only other dude I ever knew with a convertible, this dude named Eddie Joe, man. He was like, I think 16 or fucking 40. And he lived in our neighborhood, and he had a couple of these girls. They had these two girls, and they were sisters or, you know, twins. They might have been fucking conjoined. I don't even know, bro. But these bitches was really kind of unraveled a little bit. You know, they wasn't, I think they was premature babies. And premature twins, you don't know what's going to happen. Dude, you know, sometime you'll take you take one pie out of the oven and you have it and you're like, oh man, it was good, but it could have been better. You take fucking 2 pies out the oven, dog. Ooh. Then you letting the devil fucking live in the dessert. And so and sometimes he would get these girls, and they both even had the same name, I think Janet, you know, double Janets or whatever. And because the mom probably had a limited name choices, you know, she wrote down one name. She might have been on a couple of lewds and then seen it twice on the sheet and said, fuck it, son. We're going to take our chances and name both of these baby girls Little Janets. And dude, so this guy Eddie, he had this 5.0 Mustang. And I think it was even a 6.0, dude. I think he wrote a 6 or put a 6 made out of like like a caulking or something over the 5. So he was rolling in that 6.0 Ford Mustang convertible top. And he would give these girls, he would get them, daiquiris or something, little milkshakes. And he would just be rolling these double Janets around town. And one time he was out front just flexing and talking. And we were out by the street just talking to him and just burning shit in the ditch, just enjoying the summer. And he floored it, and both of those broads rolled right off the fucking back, boy. And man, it was awesome. And that's when you knew they were twins. They had that, they both rolled off because they were sitting on the top of the back seat with the convertible down. So then they're sitting really on the back of the car, almost on the trunk with their legs into the car. And they were just flexing and sipping on these little daiquiris, these little, cherry slushy throat hitters. And then he floored it, or I think he was trying to hit the brakes and he hit the wrong brake, the gas. And those bitches rolled right off the back, dude. Fucking double Janets right onto the fucking concrete. And it was pretty cool, man. It wasn't the Olympics, but that shit was pretty legit. It was the closest thing I'd ever seen to, like, I don't remember if you remember the 1988 Olympics. They had that little girl. What was her name? I think like Yatyana Mogadishu or something. And Yatyana Mogadishu she was like the best, gymnastical. She was that gymnastical crazy she could do anything. She'd flip you off with her finger and then fucking do 9 backflips. And she would flip you off and then fucking flip off into the distance. And Yatyana, or I don't know if it was, I know it was Mogadishu was her last name, and she would, she could do it all. She was the kind of girl who, when she was born, she probably fucking double jab handsprang right out of them womb. Some people's breech and some people are C-section, and this bad bitch probably crawled right back up out of her, she probably crawled right out of her mom's throat and did a fucking, that fucking right off the top, that fucking Filipino shooting star right off the top. And just landed it straight up into the doctor's pocket. She was, an acrobat. She was an acrobat. Imagine if you put, an egg and semen and, imagine you put an egg and seed and a leotard and a little bit of hand chalk into a cannon and just shot that shit right out into the Olympics. That was her. Yeah, Yana Mogadishu. Maybe I can have our producer add a picture of her to this as well. But fuck, I don't even know what I was talking about, man. Oh, but the show 90210 was the first show that as a kid, I remember just seeing just like adult things that were just ahead of my things that were happening in my world. You know, like I remember like the kids on the screen, they were teenagers. They were in high school, even though they were in their 30s, as you know, in real life. But we didn't know that as children. And so 90210s, man, it would be on and we would, you know, Brenda was about to kiss Ryan or whatever, or Ronald. And damn, bro, I would just fucking be like this. And my sister would just start, like, her neck would start shaking for no reason. And my brother I don't even know what he would do, bro. He would pass out. I didn't even know what was going on. Dude, I'd have a little thing of Shasta and I'd drink the whole fucking can right then. Like, there was too many, you know, it's that young time in your life when your chromosomes and your fucking... And your nuts aren't even, you know, your nuts aren't even doing nothing at that point. Your nuts are just something you fucking kind of, you know, twist around each other like those little, you know, those magic little time balls or whatever to relax at night before you go to bed. Your nuts are nothing. Your nuts are just a place you think your body's just storing, you know, extra fucking molars or whatever. You don't even know what your nut sack is at that age. And then you know, you're watching this TV show and you see a couple kiss for the first time and you just fucking don't know what to do. I fucking drink 9 cans of watermelon Shasta and just get ready to piss in the bed, dude. It was just that, you know, it was what is it called when your body gets so fired up about something that it starts to metastasize a little bit into something else. Hormones, and they put them in milk too. And sometimes I'll fucking have a little milk before I jerk off, just to get back to that old school feeling. But hormones, man, that was the thing. You know, I'd be sitting there and, you know, Steven and, you know, what was the other girl's name in the show? 90210, Steven and, oh, fuck, I don't know. Dylan McKay was the one guy. He was the fancy guy. He was like the Fonz. He came in with the jacket and he never kind of said anything. And he was always too, he kind of squinted his eyes and he was always he came up to the door and the parents didn't really like him. And then he rode off on his motorbike. I think he might have had fucking autism, bruh. And I don't think he probably registered that bike because he was kind of always in and out of this, of shit. You never knew anything about him. Luke Perry, his character, Dylan McKay. And he was in love with fucking Sandra or whatever, Jennifer Doherty. And they would, and they were always talking about doing sex. And when that shit would happen, bro, because you got to picture it, man. We're sitting there, me and my 2 siblings, and you got Dylan McKay, you got Janet Doherty. They fucking, you know, they're 30 in real life, but we don't know it as kids. We think, you know, because I was probably 11, my brother's, you know, 13, my sister's 9. We're all sitting there, and this is the program that mom lets us watch that she maybe shouldn't let us watch, but, you know, she wants to put a little bit of lotion on her legs in the other room and floss her teeth, and that's her time to be by herself. So this is what we get. So we're sitting there ready to watch Beverly Hills 90210's, boy. And then they start talking about sexual or, you know, somebody fucking, you see a little bit of a bra strap and next thing you know, I got to fucking lay down on my back, dude, because I don't know what's going on. Because my hormones are starting to just mingle around my body and get to know each other. You know, and suddenly my brain is starting to say hello to my dick, but on the inside of my body. And this is like an internal Tinder and everybody's fucking swiping right. And it's just crazy. And your neck starts fucking tightening up and dude, I remember sometimes my arms would go straight out to both sides of my body for no reason. I wouldn't even know what was happening. Because on the screen, they had these young people and you were feeling just sexual. You were feeling keyed up and jacked up on your own, these little crystals, man, because God puts these little fuck crystals in your body when you're born, I guess. And they don't really kind of sprout until you start to get sexual. And that's hormones. And when those bitches start popping off, it's like, Man, it's like those flavor crystals in gum. It's like you think it's just gum, and then bam, you hit that bitch, and suddenly, suddenly your dick's got fresh breath. And it's that kind of thing. That's them libido poppers, dude. Them internal hitters. And that's kind of what happened when I would see these shows. We'd sit there, and I didn't even know really what was going on. My brain I couldn't close my eyes or blink, and I would just fucking drink 2 cans of Shasta, Man, I feel exhausted even thinking about it now. What else? I saw this episode. The Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey returned to the Joe Rogan Experience and brought his executive Vijayagade, who I think won American Idol season 2 runner-up, to debate journalist Tim Pool on some of Twitter's policies. Rogan was heavily criticized for Dorsey's first appearance, with many believing Rogan did not ask hard enough questions or cite specific examples of Twitter's perceived bias. I didn't see the first episode, so I don't know about that. That's just what was written on this page here. But I thought Tim Pool did a good job of expressing the thoughts of a lot of people. And I think in the end, a lot of it just comes down to, a lot of media is just is liberal. It's very liberal, and it's very forward thinking, and it's this, one love, and we can't say anything bad, and but a lot of media is based out of places where that type of living is more of a reality. And when you get into other places, the life there and the reality isn't the same. But if you try to share your reality from those places, then that is looked at as being, it's all labeled as conservative now, or it's some of it is labeled as racist, and some of it is labeled as sexist, and some things it's a mix of things. It's a mix of traditionalism. It's trying to express that there is racism, that they do have that fucking sugar racism out there in a lot of directions. You got Latinos and blacks and whites and whites and whites and blacks and whites and Latinos, and you got fucking everybody wondering what Patrick Mahomes, what is he? Everybody, but it's like you got, and it's just, to me, it seems like one part of the country just can't share their reality, and one part of the country, shares this like ideology. And the problem is there's just 2 different realities going on in America, I think. Or there's more than 2. There's a bunch. But a lot of the media so far has been based out of places where a lot of the reality is the same. But I think that's what you start to see now that's different. And I think you're going to get to better conversations when more realities have a voice. And Twitter is really, it's a lot of extremists on there. The only reason you can go to Twitter, I think, is if you really keyed up to try to see a titty or something, or if you want to really argue with people, or just sometimes before bed, I'll say something fucked up on Twitter, and it's like throwing a rock into a fucking hallway of people that don't like rocks, and I'll just go to bed, bro, and just laugh. It's an instigator's paradise. If you like just bullshitting, if you like to leave a turd near the fucking caviar, bro, then Twitter is your place to be, man. They got some fun. Dude, yeah. Excuse me. It's bananas out there. I think it's hilarious. I think it is absolutely hilarious. But I think it's a good episode if you want to, everybody has some of their favorite Joe Rogan episodes, and that's one of mine, man. And Joe Rogan's got the best. He's just a curious listener. He's a curious man, and he's active. And but I thought it was great. I thought this was great. I thought Dorsey was he come across a little soft to me, but that's my thought. But I think that there is a curbing of ideas, or not ideas, but even the desire to discuss like realities in some parts of America, traditional views or looked at it or immediately labeled a certain way. Because look, I think it would be great if everybody could live in a place. I don't think anybody doesn't want to live in a place where everybody gets along and everybody is healthy and contributing. I feel like that's everybody's goal. I feel like everybody, and I believe that everybody can be helped, except for some people cannot be helped. Some people at some core place in themselves, they do not want to help themselves. They do not want to contribute. They do not want to, they really don't want things to be good. I think it's few, but I think that but I believe that most people can be helped. All of us, including myself. Fuck yeah. Do you know I need it, dude. I'm fucking. If anybody's always waving the hell flag, it's your boy. But I thought this was interesting. I do think that, and when you start to temper that people can't share what their reality is and what their life is because it just doesn't fit with what somebody else's life is, and that person has more ability if one person has a bigger projector and they're able to say, okay, this is my life, this is the world, this is the way it is. And a guy over here who probably wants the same life that this other person have with the big projector is running that old school projector where they got to spin it with their hand. And they're saying, but that's not the truth, man. That's not the truth. Don't you see? I'm showing you that that's not the truth here. And then they start to tell the man with the little projector, you're not allowed to use those projectors anymore. Or we're not letting those project. We're not even letting you show these images or these ideas or even discussions in this bigger projector universe. It's scary. I just don't think it just because it doesn't help. It doesn't help us get our voices out. It doesn't help people get there. It doesn't help anybody get there because there's no discussion. So I thought that's some of the stuff that I took from it. I would have liked to have seen more. I think the Tim Pool guy was interesting. I think, and also you don't know sometimes if these people go in interviews and they say there's things that they don't want to talk about. Obviously, Jack Dorsey, the guy, he's an innovator. He's an innovator. But yeah, if you want to watch a neat episode and see, if people's voices are getting curbed in those places or what your thoughts are on it. But Tim Pool, man, he showed up with a lot of every time something's wrong. He showed up with a lot of points, and he was poignant. You could feel his thoughts. I'm not saying that I'm buying his fucking, nudie calendar or anything like that, but I'm saying that you could feel that the man had done his homework. He came correct. He didn't sit back there behind he came correct. I thought he came ready to discuss. It seemed like he really wanted to. But then also, what the fuck do I know? What do I know, bro? Anyway, a little more news. Antonio Brown was traded to the Raiders for 3rd and 5th round picks and renegotiated his salary to give him $30 million guaranteed over the next 3 years and make him the NFL's highest paid wide receiver. Antonio Brown was in the payment. I mean, he definitely had been making money, but he wasn't making a lot of money as in comparison to other receivers. And he was on paper, he was one of the top 2 or 3. So I can understand his anger and his angst. But it didn't seem to be just about that. It seemed to me over time that he developed a real ego problem. And the ego's dangerous. I mean, the ego is something that lives inside of us. It's that dark art. And that bitch, you fucking leave a can of Herschel Williams, not Herschel Williams. You leave a can of Sherwin Williams lying around, and that dark artist will start to fucking paint the insides of you. It'll remodel the insides of yourself. Because that ego, man, it's got all the brushes. It knows just how to stroke you. And it's going to be interesting to see how Antonio Brown does out there in a place where he doesn't have that quarterback. I felt like it was too much ego. And I've said this before, I think a lot of players in these sports now, there's so much more. It doesn't seem like anything's about the team anymore a lot of times. But then also, if you're in a team and that team's making a ton of money and you don't think that they're sharing enough with you, I can understand the guy wanting his money. I just wonder at the end of his life when he looks back, But hindsight's 2020. I wish him well, man. I hope he has a new experience over there with his teammates, and I hope we all get out of our egos if we can. What else can I tell you guys? We are adding some shows in San Jose in 2 weeks. Sunday shows, at least one. And I want to thank everybody. I'm so excited about going over there, man. It's not far. It'll be less traveling and a little less stress in that way. Also, April, and that's I don't even know when that is. March 21st and 22nd and 23rd, and maybe the 24th now. April 5th and 6th, I'm in Kansas City. April 26th and 27th, I'm in Palm Beach, West Palm Beach, Florida. May 3rd and 4th at Caroline's in New York City. What else is going on with you guys? How are you feeling? You feeling okay? I hope you guys are doing good. Yeah, sometimes I guess I'm afraid to feel good about myself. I was talking to a friend the other day and they say, you're so hard on yourself all the time. And I say, yeah. I think because at some point in my life, if I wasn't hard on me, it was just, I wasn't going to let anybody else tell me what to do. And so the only person that was going to tell me what to do was me. And I didn't really know how to do that. So the ways I'd learned to do that were, some of them were healthy and some of them were not. And probably some of the ways that were not are some of them that are still, embedded in me. And those are, some of that is one of the blessings of living in a time where we can do self-examination and, seek help and talk to friends. And we are at a special time where we can delve in, there's drugs out there that people use to go deep, and there's meditation. It's like, even though a lot of this has been around for a long time, I think a lot of that kind of stuff is coming back, more psychedelics than cocaine, more meditation than just relying on things outside of us to help us excavate within us. So I see a lot of that. And, those are things I want to learn about myself. And so some of the stuff I talk about sometimes is just so I can try and think. I can just try and not think, but feel. A lot of my life I didn't have any feelings. I was just operating out here. I just was operating as action and reaction. And nothing was coming from a place internally that really was connecting to me. I wasn't connecting to anything. I was doing okay, but in the inside, I wasn't really connecting to anything, even to myself. And that's not the case for me now. And now I've been working and doing some of the work and trying to stay involved in places and groups and around people that I can have a different experience with myself and a new one. In some ways, I feel like a 5-year-old, with all of his emotions in his arms and all of his insides and stuff just wandering around. But a strong 5-year-old, because he bought it. Man, I wanted to be home from Mardi Gras last week. I really wanted to be there. People were having fun, I bet. What else can I tell you guys? I'm just so tired. I don't want to, hold you guys too long. I'm trying to think of some other people that came out. Dude. So let me tell you who came out to one of the shows. Triplets, bro. You know what I'm saying? Dude, sometimes the womb stutters a little bit and it makes babies, It makes them fucking bad boys. Dude, and these guys, it was like, there was a little Neapolitan sandwich, man. These boys, they were beautiful boys, and they would finish each other's sentence. One of them would start to blink a little, then one of them would blink a little more, and then one of them would fully blink. And I was like, what in the fuck is going on? And these boys were just a living batch of dark art. If you see these fellas, they're over there near Atlantic City, I think they came out in. And there was triplets. And they said, dude, we're triplets. And I was like, fucking what, dude? The singers? And they're like, what? And they said, no, we were all born at the same time. I said, damn, y'all that fucking batch. Y'all that batch. And they would, dude, it was crazy, man. They would, you tell one of them a joke and the other one would fucking laugh, man. Even listening to them, it was like playing, conversating with them. It was like just dialogue, just like dialogical whack-a-mole. You'd be over here with an answer and then bam, the question, and then, it was unique. It was like playing the shell game, You ever come out of a supermarket and they got that brother out there with the cardboard and he got the little nutmegs right there and one of them's got a little, little nugget of Coke or something under it or a little pecan and he's flipping those things around and bouncing them or the cards. And next thing you know, you think you're over here talking about shellfish and then bam, fucking contestant number 3 hit you with a fucking conversation about zoning in his area. You're like, what the fuck? And with triplets, you got to stay alert. With triplets, it's almost like you got to do one at a time. You got to do like this. What's up, duh? What's up, dude? Hey, buddy, how are you? And you. So you got to section them off. But they were beautiful boys. They all looked pretty healthy. And I told them straight up. I said, hey, look, if you guys are like the Transformers or whatever, like, because I'm thinking these dudes are going to do the Autobot shit. One of them gets into a little set, a set of legs, and then one of them torsos up, and the third one fucking morphs into a head. And then they wander off, just one guy working over there by the fucking, by the Jersey Mikes or the FedEx Kinkos. But it's wild when you meet them. If you see triplets, man, you just let them know you support them. Do your best. That's all we can do. I'm tired, man. I love you. I would stay longer and chat with you. I want to be able to reflect on more experiences that I had this weekend. Let me take one or two more calls. Here they go. The number is always 985-664-9503. We do, I believe, have a single mother locked down for Phoenix and one for San Jose as well. So I'm really excited about that. We want to do, we want to do some big things this year in that space. And thank you guys and our Patreon supporters who support a lot of that. Onward, here we go.
Theo, it's Anthony from Jersey. Just got back from your show at the Borgata.
What's up, Anthony? Oh, I appreciate you calling, man. This is cool. Onward.
Atlantic City. It was my first comedy show ever, man, and you and Ari killed it, so thank you for that, man. You guys put on a great show. I decided to bring my mom with me, give her a nice night out. We had a great time, man. It was cool. Sharing laughs with her. It was nice bonding with her. We don't get to do that a lot, so it was nice taking her out and sharing those laughs, And then when you said you were doing the meet and greet after the show, man, I was pumped. So I was like, gotta wait in the line to finally meet you, man. And then when we were leaving, you went over to my mom and gave her a hug and a kiss, and I think you said, take care of your son. I was like, this is a nice thing to say, man. It shows how genuine you are. And thought that was cool, man. I look forward to seeing another show in the future. Anyway, man, be good to yourself, man. Gang.
Gang, bro. Thank you, man. That's sweet of you to say. I think I do remember we had one woman came out and she had 6 children and she brought her youngest daughter out. She had bright red lipstick on. I remember that pair. And then they had another man with his mom. She had kind of short blonde hair. And I didn't know if it was his date or something because, they got all of that stuff online. You see it with these ladies. I thought this might be his school teacher. This could be a damn ninth grader, and she's the lady that does the algebra, and they just going to the casino for the weekend. But yeah, I do remember that. And it's nice, man. It's cool. My mother and I have never had that experience. I mean, she came to the show and I taped my Netflix special. And actually, she may be coming to my show in Phoenix in a couple weeks because she lives in Tucson now. So I'm excited about that. But yeah, it always, I think there's just look, man, I'm just glad you guys came. And I'm glad to have been a part of it. I'm glad. That makes me feel good to think that you guys sit there laughing together, and some of it's awkward and some of it's not awkward. And, in little moments you learn about each other. And, I think for a mother to get to hear her son laugh and a son to get to hear her mother laugh, that's just, I can't imagine when we go to like a different place, after this life, that's not, that whatever the place we go to isn't made out of just that sound and that moment, whatever that is, And I'm not saying that because I'm part of, because I work in the laughter business. I'm just saying it because, I just imagine that something like that has to be the truth, And so I appreciate you guys coming out. And that was sweet of you to bring your mom out. And if I didn't recall you guys correctly, I'm sorry. But onward. Let's take another call here. We have one more.
Hey, Theo. My name is Ryan. I'm from Florida.
Big Ryan from Florida, dude. What's up, playboy? And you out there by the beach. You over there in the riffraff country, son. That riffraff-a-dactyl, boy. And if y'all don't know who riffraff is, man, this is a dude. He's fucking growing tangerines inside of his dungarees, dude. He's that fruit. He's that he's producing. You feel me? This dude's got fucking he's out of that vegetation nation, bro. He's sprouting sprouts. He's that guy. He's always up to something. And he's that lean Gene Okerlund. Let's hear more.
And so you're coming to West Palm Beach, Florida, but thing is, I'm only 15 years old, so.
Dang, bruh. Well, let me just make sure there's nothing on the shelves or anything that's profane or anything like that. Or any of those plastic cocks or whatever. I don't know what premature Nick is doing in here during the daytime, You're only 15. I was 15 once, man. Let me see. Onward.
You have to be 21 to go to one of your shows, so I think I might, get a little trench coat or something, get on someone's shoulders and get in that way, but don't tell anyone I said that. Thanks, buddy. Love you.
Love you too, man. Damn, for a 15-year-old, you sound like you got, like you probably got some pretty large nuts on you, bro. And I don't mean that, and you might not even, fuck, I shouldn't have said that. Fuck. You sound like a healthy male. That's what you sound like. And I bet, you seem like fuck. Yeah, you can't talk to children like that, So here's what I'm saying. Thank you for calling. If you do the trench coat, look, man, go deep with a big idea, bro. Borrow some hair off of somebody, cut a little bit of curl off one of your Latino buddies or a Jewish buddy, defro him a little bit off the back and fucking you make a beard. Dude, I would love to see you slowly evolving into, what can we do to make you look like an adult to get you into that show? But you got to do some of the work. You still got like 6 weeks, so maybe, yeah. You got to borrow some sideburns or something and maybe get a mustache and do different stuff. We'll see. Anything could happen. But I wish you were, I'm happy that you're at the age you are. And maybe one day I can do something for, people that are underage and we do a show where there's no profanity or anything like that. But if you're looking to have a good time, fucking pop into some of those old episodes of 90210. That'll make you feel good. Also, everybody, there's this show. I want to meet this man, Chris Lilly, when I go to Australia. And he's one of my favorite entertainers. Him and Jerry Clower are two of my favorite entertainers of all time, and Richard Pryor's. And if you go look at him, they have a show called Summer Heights High, Volume 1. Start there. It's on YouTube. It'll look a little weird, like the how small it is when you start playing it, but you will love that show. You will love it. It'll be the best show you've never seen. And it's called Summer Heights High. You can find it on YouTube. And then you send that man a DM and tell him I'd love to meet him when I'm in Australia and have him be a guest on here. I just want to thank you guys. Thank you for coming out in Atlantic City. Thank you for coming out in Boston. Thank you for coming out in Medford. It was exciting, man. It was like a first, and I'm not always going to be in theaters or nothing like that, man. I want to be in places where it's easier to meet the audience. I couldn't meet people after the first show in Medford because they have to start the second show. So there was no time. There's no place. So some of that kind of occurs, and, I know some of it's kind of impersonal, but it wasn't impersonal to me. And we'll find ways to make it more personal in the future. And I want to thank everybody. I tried to meet everybody. Dude, after the Atlantic City show, man, we must have had like 300 people, man. And it was great, dude. People would have one girl. She was probably an alcoholic. They had this one young lady drove in from New York right after work. And she and I got to get a picture together. We had some people that was in the Merchant Marines that came out. We had a young man that was just about to go off to boot camp who came out. We had this mix. They had these three dudes that had the craziest hair I've ever seen. One guy, he had that Jamaican, that hammock. Sometimes you'll see fellas with that Jamaican hammock hitter, and they got their hair all wrapped up, and the next thing you know, they fucking untie their hair, and a fucking little, 2 acres of Barbados falls out, and on one of the acres they grow in that puff. And he had another friend that had this straight up Frederick Douglass fucking top hitter hair. And then their third dude was this white guy, and he straight up had that Vince Neil. He had that fucking, his shit was cold pressed, bro. His shit was, he had just French pressed that just flat ironed his hair, bro. It was the most remarkable hair trifecta that I'd ever seen, man. So kudos to those boys. Who else came out that I can, dude? And I'm not trying to pick people out. I just can't remember right now. My brain is tired, and I'm gonna go get some rest. You guys, thank you so much, man. Be good to yourselves. I know that you deserve it, and just thank you, man. I'm just so grateful. I realized the other day, I think part of the reason why I was feeling kind of sad is I just realized I get to live my dreams, and and I want to live like a person that is deserving of that gift. Because I know some people may not be able to do that. And I want to, I just want to be, and I know people tell you all the time, hey man, thanks for the nice things you do. And I know I hear that. But if I'm healthy and I am capable, and then I want to be able to do all that I can, and because that makes me feel good. When I really think about it, other things make me feel good, sexual, doing cocaine, what else? Slides, doing the slides at the park, watching my fucking friend Daniel, bro. He saved some money one time, dude. And, he was going to donate blood, dude, but he fucking took it out at his house and tried to bring it over there. And it was like the last $100 he needed. And he was going to get a skateboard or one of those, maybe it was like a pogo stick or something. And they fucking, bro, he went over there with like a half a cup of that fucking body, that body sauce, and they fucking shut him down, dude, and called child services. So, fuck, I don't even know what I'm talking about, man. But I love you guys, man. Be good to yourselves. I know that you deserve it, man. I know that. I knew it from the second I met most of you. And I'll always know that, I will always know that. This is that same band, Bishop Gunn, with their song All the Ways.
Women can make a boy feel like a man. There's something about that bold look in their eyes. Hot on a mission with ambition.
Love you guys, man. Be good.
Prime conditions for the birds and the bees when they already know everything that's on your mind. All the ways to keep a young man satisfied. Yeah, she give me that non-stop, been around the block, next day strutting like a clock, kind of love. And none of that slow down, hanging round, telling mama about the love she found, so hard to get rid of. It's funny how them older women can make a boy feel like a man.